Senator, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. So we're here today to talk about Hennepin County Medical Center. It's a place that you've called the backdrop for all care across the state. What did you mean by that?
Well, I think it's the biggest hospital in the hospital system in the state that reacts to the trauma. You know, it's the backdrop for the emergencies, and it serves a population that is probably on the lower end of the social economic range.
Senator, you've also said that everyone has a story about a loved one being treated at HCMC. Do you have a story there?
You know, I had a friend that actually worked there doing psych consults, and she worked there a lot, and you know, had to deal with a lot of different situations that were, I think, traumatic for the average person. And you know, I know the burn center gets a lot of people from all over the state flown in there. So I think it's just really important, you know, as we look at our care across the state. You know, we started losing pharmacies, and we were the #1 state for pharmacy closings for a long time, especially in the rural areas, and then it migrated to the inner city. And now we're seeing consolidation in the healthcare, and we're seeing closures of clinics and hospitals all across the state, but especially in the rural areas. And I just don't think we have the capacity if we lose HCMC. So we have to figure out, we have to prioritize. And that's my biggest frustration on what we spend time doing up here, is a lot of things aren't as important as what I perceive as care. And HCMC plays a big role of that care.
Well, let's talk about that, because you've talked about the prioritization before. You've said governing is prioritizing. And to that end, this session you've talked about working to support the hospital system instead of other measures that have come up, like emergency rental assistance. So talk to me about your thought process behind those calls and conversations.
You know, they're tough conversations because two things can be true at once. So we could need some rental assistance programs, and we could need an influx of state capital for a medical system like HCMC. My frustration is the kind of the fraud. You know, we're funding programs that have been frozen or have had issues, and we're really not seeing suggestions from the administration on how do we make it better to provide those services to people. So I have a hard time funding some of these programs that I do think have a place, or expanding them when they're not fixed. You know, so it should be a team effort. We should all be focused on how do we make sure we don't have the fraud, waste, and abuse in our programs that are across the board in pretty much every agency. The governor calls them loopholes, but I think when you talk to the average Minnesotan, they're going to call it fraud, waste, and abuse. We need to just kind of either have a team effort from the administration, who controls all the agencies, to work on that, or we need to pivot and take care of things that we know we need to take care of, which is HCMC. The whole system, how we fund it, is broken. It's a huge conversation. And that has some federal ties on reimbursement rates, some state ties, and then, of course, local ties with that particular hospital group.
Yeah. So you're saying it's about, with our given our like tight funds, we want to make sure the money is going where it needs to go, as opposed to being diverted in other places. And you brought us back to HCMC, and the reason we're really talking about it is because we're hearing reports it may be forced to close. How did we get here? Tell me a little bit more about that.
How did we get here? Well, I think there's a lot of different things. One is our system is broken, and how we reimburse hospitals for patients. And I think part of that, and just part of that, is the increase in the number of people that rely on medical assistance. So medical assistance is a safety net. but we have grown that. I think the current number is around 1.7 million Minnesotans out of 5.7. And of course, a large population of those people are in the metro and would be shipped to HCMC for service. So if you're only going to get it reimbursed at a real low rate on a large population, that messes up the funding for the whole program. And it's hard to make ends meet. All the hospitals are hurting across the state except for probably Mayo. I think had a $1.2 billion profit this year, but most systems are really hurting.
So you said all hospitals are hurting, but there's a lot of focus on HCMC. Like your colleague, Senator Abler, said, if it closes, the load cannot be absorbed. You've said we can't lose HCMC. So why is this one hospital so valuable?
Just the volume of patients that it handles in a year. I think, they're a level 1 trauma center, and everybody gets shipped there.
And so talk to me about that, the impact this would have on the rest of the state, because not everyone's in the metro and they don't necessarily care too much about what happens here, but this would affect everyone?
I believe it would have some impact on most people or someone's loved ones. That being said, I also want to take care of the hospitals in my district or up north. I'm in southern Minnesota, and it doesn't mean that the hospitals aren't important down there or way up north on the Canadian border. I think we just have to prioritize our care system. And, in my area, I have 33 small towns. Most of them rely on volunteer emergency response personnel, and most of them don't have up-to-date equipment. There are parts of the state where you could be traveling across the state. Let's say you're going camping and you're going to the middle of nowhere to go camping. That there might not be anybody there to respond to that 911 call in a timely fashion. That is scary. That should be a priority. And I think that's why a lot of people in my caucus get upset over the waste, fraud, and abuse, because we could use just a sliver of that money to help fund those small first responders, to help people, or to save our local hospitals so we have somewhere to go if someone has a heart attack. Or I've had some bills dealing with oncology or cancer care in the rural areas. It's hard to have the energy to drive home after some of the cancer treatments. And, especially when you're getting up in age, a lot of these people can't drive at night. We don't have the transportation systems that run as long as they do in the metro and outstate. So we need that care closer to home so they can go get their treatments and come back home in the daylight.
Yeah, I think I heard Senator Hochschild say once that your zip code shouldn't determine your level of care. Yeah. So, you've got the North with you there as well. Let's turn back to the money and the funds. There have been ideas floated to save HCMC from closing so we don't have this gap in our care here in the state. One idea is to raise Hennepin County's sales tax. What are your thoughts on that?
I think Hennepin County sales tax are quite a bit already. One of my big passions has been housing. And I think for the average person, that is their biggest asset. And we are literally taxing people out of their homes. So for someone working like yourself or myself, we can adjust what we do. We can make more money. We can get a second job. But if you're retired, you're on a fixed income. And when you're seeing a double-digit tax increase year after year, it makes it pretty hard on top of what's happened with your house insurance, utilities, cost of care. Everything has gone up in the last 5 years. So we can't keep on relying on property taxes because we are hurting the people on the lowest level of that economic spectrum the worst. And part of that is the seniors. So I don't think we need to tax more. I think we need to reel in the spending. And part of that is looking at the waste, fraud, and abuse and reevaluating the programs and make sure they're going to really the people that need it, and not just the people that say they need it and sign up for it. And it turns out most of the programs are riddled with fraud, and the need of so many programs is in question, in my opinion.
So you've mentioned waste, fraud, and abuse as a way to kind of help shore up the system for now, at least by giving those extra dollars. I know Senator Abler put forth an idea, a multi-pronged approach. Are you hearing other thoughts on how to save HCMC?
Yeah, I think everybody has their own ideas, but it just needs to be a priority. And, I don't know if any bills got signed in this week, but we were at 4 bills this year. And in my 10 years, that is the slowest I have seen it in 10 years, which is disappointing. And I think leadership can do better. The governor can do better. We just need to work together to figure it out. I think it is something that affects the whole state. I think we can adjust some things to make it more sustainable, but I don't think we need to raise taxes to do it.
You've talked a lot about the systems in your area, your district, your region that are closing. Is it for the same reason as HCMC, or is something else going on there?
I think, I really think it's because of the big hospital groups swallowing them up to buy territory. They systematically come in, and good or bad, I'm not throwing anybody under the bus here, but what they do is they come in and acquire a hospital and then slowly make it harder to get an appointment. So once there's not as many appointments, their patient count goes down, and then they justify closing whatever subject matter of that doctor unit was, if it was the birthing center or cancer care, oncology, radiology, whatever it is, and then they slowly shut it down, those individual systems. And then they say, well, we can't justify keeping it open because we don't have enough patients. I've seen it play over and over and over again in rural Minnesota, time and time again.
I have a hard time wrapping my head around that, because it's hard to think, where is the business sense in that, buying something to close it?
Oh, it's billable hours, and I mean, it's just a numbers game. And I think part of it is, too, a staffing issue. We don't have enough doctors and nurses. I question why. I don't think we took serious the number of doctors we can graduate here in Minnesota. I know there's some work being done to open up more capacity, but I don't think enough to make up for the retirement age of our doctors.
What do you expect will happen if Minnesota doesn't come to terms with its issues with its health systems right now?
I'm sure we'll figure it out, but at what cost? And, unfortunately, it's, the people that don't have the resources probably will get hurt the most. Where if you can afford it, you're going to hire someone to drive you, or make sure that you get the care if you can afford it, and those that can't won't, and that's sad.
I've heard support from several people on your caucus, Senator Abler, Senator Coran, and I've heard Senator Rest from the other caucus talk about supporting HCMC. So does that give you hope that there can be a solution going out the door this session, either short-term, long-term, systemic?
It was the first time I brought it up was on the floor, I think during Senator Port's bill on housing, emergency relief for that, and I think this is more important than that bill, because even though as important as housing is to me, I didn't think there was urgency for that as this is, and other hospitals across the state. I think it needs to be front and center. Whoever takes my position over and moves on, healthcare, as we have an aging population, costs more, and that population is part of the reimbursement rate that's smaller than larger. So I think we're in for a couple hard years of figuring out how to pay for that cost of care.
Senator, you've said that you're a housing guy. I know you as a healthcare guy. You know, you've been fighting for rural healthcare programs and providers your whole time here. And as you've said, you're leaving us. You've announced you plan to retire after this session. You know, what are you most proud of from your time here?
There's a lot of things that I've worked on that I really enjoyed. You know, we had a bill last year to help a gentleman that had his daughter would go outside, she's in a coma, and they would roll her onto the deck in their rural property up in Scott County. And the township was hiring someone to come spray chemicals to kill weeds. And they were going 60 feet into his property. And, you know, someone in that health state trying to enjoy the outdoors. And they had a hard time working with the contractor that the township hired. And we passed a bill to kind of correct that a little bit. We didn't get as far as what the constituent wanted, but I do think we helped that situation. And I think every year we try to push that a little bit. And of course, I throw some challenging bills out there. Just to bring up a topic this year, it's probably the biggest one getting most attention would be the banning of pharmaceuticals from being advertised on TV. So I think we have some momentum there. We'll find out what happens. But if it doesn't happen this year, someone can pick it up next year and take it over. So we'll see the lab-grown meat, cell-grown meat, another odd one. But I think it comes to the point where I think most people want to know what they're eating. And not saying it's a bad thing or a good thing. I just want to know what I'm feeding my family.
I like how you said that, because it's like your work continues, your legacy continues, even if you're not here in the Senate anymore. Your bills are still making their way through it. They've inspired other people here to run with it. So what's next for you, Senator? You
know, it's a good question. I'm looking for a new challenge. We'll see what happens. You know, my political career is over. I don't plan on running for office. I don't think my wife will let me run for office. But we'll find a new challenge, and I'll be 57 the end of the month. So I figure I have a good 10, 15 years left in me, so hopefully. Something more challenging than the Senate? Yeah. Good luck. Thank you. All right, well, thank you for your time today, Senator. I appreciate it.